Hey Dice Rolls, Paul here, and I'll be your DM for a little while. Have you ever wanted to build your own fantasy setting or sandbox? I have, and in this video I'm going to share how much closer I am to fulfilling that goal. But this is not just about me showing off and saying, look what I did. Nope, if you're new here, I've been sharing my process over the course of the past 3 videos, and I'll put a playlist at the end of this video if you're interested in seeing how I got to this point. Now, before I show you my progress, and it is significant, if you're new here, welcome in, thanks for being here. If you like videos about DM tips, world building, and running epic games of D&D with an old school flair, then be sure to go ahead and click the subscribe button. Now, let's go ahead and head off into my world of Skyreach and not only show you what's new, but how I got here. All right, and welcome to the land of Skyreach, specifically Guardian Grove. And something special about this background. This background is the actual map that I drew in one of the videos that you'll see in the playlist that I have listed at the end of this video. But this is the actual map that was drawn. It has undergone significant changes, which you will see in this video. So stick around. Let me tell you a little bit more about my process. I am using a book called How to Make a Fantasy Sandbox. There are 33 steps in there. And as you can see, I have reached a little bit beyond the halfway point, which is super cool. As you can see, I have finished 15, 16, 17, and 18, which is name your geography, write a half-page background describing the region and its history, write a paragraph describing each piece of geography, and write a paragraph describing each population locale. And I think I followed those pretty well. I don't follow them exactly. I follow them loosely. All these steps I follow loosely because I'm looking for playability. I'm looking for the world that I have imagined in my head and the kind of sandbox that I have in my heart that I want my players to play in. And I'm not looking for medieval authenticity. I am looking for functionality. I'm looking for something my players can get immersed into and have a ton of fun for a few hours. So once again, I'm going to put a link down to this book. It is a fantastic resource. This book these steps have required me to work through some process that I'll talk about when I get to the map part of this video, but it's forced me to work. How do these things actually work? And I'll get into it later. But anyway, the steps are great. The book is very, very good. The link will be down below if you're interested in using this in building your own fantasy sandbox. So something I've put in here that had absolutely nothing to do with my steps. And this is just how my brain works. When I think of something, I'm going to go, well, I'm going to toss it in there. Let's go ahead and toss it in there. And it may have been in the steps, it may not have been. But I have established what is the 5 eras of Skyreach. And the reason I did that is because I know somewhere in there, in the steps, I probably read this and said, well, make a calendar, right? But give it some heft. And that's what I did, as I basically created these eras. So your players, my players, could go into a different era, and it's showing that this place has a reality, if you want to call it that, look, there's a past, there's a present, there's a future, that the world you're playing in has been lived in, and you're also living in it as well. So the first era is the Dawning Age. This is the creation process. This is where things start to come to be, and all the pantheon, which is called the Guardians. That's why we call it the city of Guardian Grove, because this is very much about the pantheon. This is about the gods helping mortals achieve all of this. In the second era, it's all about the age of the Weavers, which is what I call the magic users. I call them the Weavers or Weavers. And it is all about the Weavers discovering the ley lines, the magic, all of those things. So they're now developing their spells. They're gaining power, hopefully to use it for good. Some of them not so much, right? Which then leads us to the third era, which is the Shadowed Age, or an age of war, where the demigods, which are supposed to be loyal to the pantheon, the Guardians, not so much, because of one particular pantheon, one particular deity of the pantheon named Weave, who somehow got discouraged and just didn't like things working out the way they were. So they started a little whisper campaign, got some demigods together, and then started to rebel, and which then poured out onto Skyreach, and then there were wars, and then there were demons everywhere, and the undead were rising, and beasts were everywhere, and it caused a lot of chaos, a lot of wars, and a lot of destruction. That we then come to the Age of Crowns, and towards the end of the Shadowed Age and the beginning of Crowns, we see that the Pantheon and the mortals are working together. They manage to imprison the demigods and their minions inside the actual artifacts of creation, which I call keystones, and basically imprisoned them, and then delivered these keystones, had the mortals deliver them to various points of Kriesh and bury them deep so they'd never be found, which then will lead hopefully to other portions of the continent of Kriesh being designed and being fleshed out. And then at the beginning of the Age of Crowns, they said, all right, now we got our problems behind us. We're going to go ahead and start rebuilding. And they started rebuilding in this southeast area of Kriesh, because it had a river there. It had, all these different kinds of mountains. It had lots of things to it. And then through the process, these warriors, these generals then started to rise up. And some of them not generals, some of them just heroes of the wars, started to become what I call the high wards. And these high wards, I call them crowns. It doesn't mean they're sort of royalty, but they're not kings per se, but they're the high wards. And there's a process for that, which will come in later on. But in this Age of Crowns, they're laying down the law, they're establishing things, they're building up resources, they're creating towns and hamlets and villages, and all the things are starting to appear that are trying to make a stronger Kriesh as they get started here. And then you have, towards the end of the Age of Crowns, an incident happens where a terrible storm comes through. But it is the result of these witches of the blackened earth. They are messing around with hexes. They are messing around with things, and they decided, well, our grove is destroyed by this storm, and the gods aren't really kind of listening to us. So we need to do something about that. So we're going to go find one of these artifacts. We're going to drain the power out. We're going to fuel our hex. And then we're going to see what happens. We're going to get power back, and we're going to, rebuild our grove and do all these things, since the gods really aren't listening to us. That's a whole thing in and of itself. But the effects of that, which then moves us into the post-Hexa age, which is basically because they weakened one of the keystones and released basically a terrible, terrible thing called the schism. From this keystone, it weakened all the others, and suddenly all over Kriesh now, these horrible things are coming out. Hence the title of the Hex Crawl of Horror. Now there are horrors everywhere, all over Kriesh. There's terrible things based on what was imprisoned within that keystone. So those are the fifth era, and the fifth era is what we are in right now. Those are the 5 eras. We are currently at least in my game, is the post-Hexa age. We're now trying to figure out now what is life now with all these horrible things in this built-up areas that we've done, and how are we handling it. So let me go ahead and show you then. I'll just read kind of this is my synopsis. This is step 15, I believe, about the region. So the land of the gods, which is what I'm calling this region, the southeastern region of Kriesh, cradles the city of Guardian Grove at its heart, holding a unique significance in the continent's history, for it is whispered to be the very cradle of creation, where Mother Kriesh first began to shape the world. Its story unfolds through the grand tapestry of Kriesh's 5 ages. And this is where myth is coming from. This is where lore is coming from. Everybody hears the story differently a little bit. The core, the roots are all there. And people wind up having new names for it, and different ages have different names. But we move through that, and that'll unfold as these zines and as the world moves along. Now, I'm just going to read the first era of the dawning, just to kind of give you an idea. It says, in the primordial mists of the dawning age, as Kriesh stirred and brought forth the land, it is said that her initial touch was most potent in this southeastern expanse. The gentle hills and fertile plains around what would become Guardian Grove were among the first to rise. The very first waterways, perhaps precursors to the Salus River and Weave Lake, were blessed with a nascent vitality. Even the mineral wealth beneath the surface, the coal, the limestone, and the iron ore, those are going to be up near where the Aether Mountains are, might be seen as early gifts from the forming earth, the seeds of life, nurtured by the raw magic of creation first took root in this blessed ground. And so tried to give, once again, each of these eras has its own plot hooks, its own adventuring. Things are still being discovered, and you'll kind of see as we move along, there's, once again, more plot hooks to go around for your players to get into. There's the Second Age, the Age of the Weavers, the Shadowed Age, the Age of Crowns. We even do some named heroes in this. The post-Hexa, which is, like I said, the current place we're in right now. But let me bring you back to the beginning here. This is the southeast land, what I'm calling the land of the gods, this southeastern kind of area. And you have the region population. The whole region is 150 to 220 miles all the way around those hexes. And there's about 5,292, roughly. That's a rough number. And, you know, each of the hexes has roughly 700, a population of 700. Some have more, some have less. Some are undiscovered. Some are already there, as you can see. We have these little hamlets right here. We have towns. We have the villages. We have all kinds of things going on here. And so as we move around, we have Guardian Grove right there. You can see at the center. And then you have the Witches of the Blackened Earth outside of the city. There's contention there, obviously. There's bad things going on over there, which we will discover later on. And then we have, I said, okay, these little places here need, you know, races. What are they populated with, right? And so I went through that process. And you'll notice that a lot of these places have combined races to them. There's people that get along fairly well. Not all the time, and things can happen. That's the whole thing. But initially, the world is set up because every race needed to get involved in this battle of the demigods rebelling against the pantheon. They all had to fight together. They all had to work together. And so a lot of these locations are designed where people are getting along for the most part, right? They have, you know, for one reason or another, they needed each other. They established with one another. Relationships were made. Treaties were made. Whatever it is, we find that they are, for the most part, working together. And of course, that can change, right? So now I have named some of these places that I have here. You have Windstone. Well, you have Guardian Grove proper right there, the city, and then outside of that is the Witches of the Blackened Earth over there. And then you have, I'll start from right to left here. Let's go ahead and go to Aetherwood, which is just up here near the Vaso Woods. You have Shadowfen. You have Stone's Throw. You have Riverhaven, which you have Lumaf Flora, which is cool. Because it's all about halflings down there. You have Hearthglo, Clear Spring, Skyreach, and Windstone. Now let me go and just read a few things. Here's Guardian Grove, population 1,900. And you can see here, it says the only walled city, and the walled city there's reasons for this. The walled city in the region, Guardian Grove serves as the central hub for trade, governance, and culture. Its diverse population of humans, dwarves, elves, and halflings reflects its importance as a crossroads. Situated strategically between the mountains, forests, rivers, and hills, Guardian Grove likely benefits from the resources and specialties of its surrounding settlements. It's the primary market for their goods and services and likely provides protection and a degree of overarching authority. Now, there's nobody in charge. They don't rule the land as a normal place. Everybody's kind of their own thing. But because they're the big boys on the block, they do have a certain amount of credibility that other cities and parts of the, because it was all established and it was a place under war, that the folks there had a large part in bringing peace to the area. Once again, there's a indebtedness to Guardian Grove, and that's there for the most part. That's how they do trade and all the things that they're doing. It's, everybody has to get along to get this done. So you have that, and then you have, I'll just read, like I said, just going to read a couple of these. There's Windstone. Windstone, nestled in the foothills below the Aether Mountains, Windstone is a small, sturdy dwarven mining community. They supply Guardian Grove with items such as weapons and tools forged from sky iron, rare meteorites found in the Aether Mountains. These items possess unique properties like magical resistance and or unusual sharpness, making them highly sought after. The hamlet is decorated with dwarven statues that do not look like a chisel ever touched the stone. They look almost lifelike. They're revered by the dwarven community. They look to Guardian Grove for finished goods and protection from larger threats. Now, the 32, it doesn't sound like very much, but these are dwarves, and they know what they're doing over there. And this number can fluctuate, by the way. These are starting points. And of course, players, I want my players to bring their characters in here, and they say, well, what's up in the mountains there? Let's go to the mountains. Let's go find some sky iron and have these dwarves, they'll send you on a quest into the mountains to maybe find a lost member of their hamlet, or to get a really hard to reach, sky iron that's up there in the mountains really high. And in return, they'll take some of that sky iron and they'll make your group weapons or something like that. So I've tried with each of these populations to build in the plot hooks, the resources, all the things that would fire up the imagination, and that is a byproduct really of the steps, working the process, going through the steps, which I'm not very good at. Once again, I follow them loosely. Let's move along. Let's go. We have Aetherwood, which is all about elves and about half elves. Let's see. We have Shadowfen. I like Shadowfen. Let me read that one real quick here. Give you another idea. Shadowfen is a village with a significant elven and half elven population. Once again, combined together, they're not mad at each other. They don't resent each other. They don't dislike each other, really. They have their issues and problems. They work through them. Unlike other elven society, there is no anonymity between these two races. It is said that this village has the most weavers in the land, but this number is unknown, which makes them a dangerous group to be trifled with. Their relationship with Guardian Grove is tenuous. They guard the magic closely, and their trade with Guardian Grove is limited. In addition to the weavers, they have a small army known as the Whispering Arrows, each armed with a bow made of aetherwood. Their archery skills are renowned throughout Kriesh. As the saying goes, if you hear even the pulling of a bowstring from a whispering archer, it's already too late. And so once again, lots going on in there, lots to dip into, lots to to extrapolate from that for adventurers to go through. Once again, I let my players kind of create the world as well. I'm not. That's just a starting point. I think that's if you're creating your own your own sandbox, just put some things in there that you can build upon later. Little things, right? Little things like the wood that they collect. They have a special wood, or they have a special army. That they have, and just little things like that I'm trying to put in there that could come up later, in an adventure, something like that. Lumaf Flora is a lot of fun, mostly halflings. So they have all these kind of glowing plants down there because they're right beneath the Lunera Hills, the hills of Lunera, which is all about the moon. And so now they have these biofluorescent plants because of the moon, all these things. So there's a lot of magic going on, lots of fun stuff going there. I have yet to even tap into that. You have Hearthglo, which rumors there is that they actually helped these folks, the people that live there or their ancestors actually sided with the demigods. We don't know what that's about, but Hearthglo, that sounds a very nice name, but there may be something very dark and dangerous behind that name. Then you have Skyreach, which has this event a couple times a year that happens called the Etherian Veil, where portals kind of open up. They're not really sure. Sometimes things sneak through from different worlds, and nobody's tried it yet, but maybe some people disappear. We're not really sure. But anyway, it thins out basically the barriers between worlds, where things can come across and you can go in and they can come in to our worlds as well. Now, I've put all this into my latest issue, by the way, of Crit Happens, which is issue number 10. And as you can see here, I put all the things that we talked about, the 5 eras that are in there, the great city of Guardian Grove, the towns, the villages, the hamlets, and I also have a map of the land of the gods that I'm going to put in there as well. And so there's 3 ways you can get this. You can say, look, Paul, love to support you. Think this is a great idea. It's $2, right? That's pretty standard. The zines will probably never go up. They'll just be $2 a piece. I find that to be a fair price for about 20 pages, 25. Some even have, 35 to 40 pages in them. But, it's $2, right? Comes in a PDF. And you can buy just the single issue. Say, I want that. I want to mess around in that stuff. And then you have the Hex Crawl bundle, and in the bundle it starts off with the Hex Crawl of horror here, which is kind of the bones of all this. I didn't really start out with a setting. I didn't start out like I'm going to make a setting or a sandbox. I really created this. I created this issue to give folks like yourself a simple way to build a hex crawl using a hex flower without the chaos of looking at all these blank hexes and going, what am I supposed to do with this? So I tried to put together a very simple thing. You're going to get the bones of that. You're going to get the witches of the blackened earth, the corrupted, the survivors. Issue number 9, the cults of Skyreach, which have sided with, these cults are now sided with the demigods, and you have them running around worshiping the demigods and not the pantheon. And then there's the 3rd way you can do this. You can actually become a member of the channel. If you become a member, it's only $1. And in becoming a member, I'm going to email you the zine every month. You're going to get it in your inbox or a way to download it. And you can, once again, you pay $1 every month to support the channel. And basically you're getting half price off the zine, which is only $2. So you're only going to pay $1 every month. So if any of those interest you, whether it's, hey, I just want to buy the zine, I'm going to buy the bundle because I want all the goodies, or you say, look, I'll just become a member for $1 a month, and that way we'll go ahead and support the channel as well as then get a half price zine every month. And finally, let me show you the map right here. I got to say, I'm pretty proud of the map. I'm not an artist, right? So I've done this in Canva. And there are assets there. There are things like the mountains and the woods and things like that. As you can see here, I've tried to give it, once again, the steps have challenged me to make this make sense. And I've made sense to the best I can make sense of it. You can see here you have these roads. This is kind of the trade route. You have the rivers. You have the lake. Here's the Tears of Selous, which is a waterfall, which is a locale near Clear Spring, which has to do, with it's basically like a little monastery where people become, warrior healers. So there's kind of where they learn to not only fight, but they learn the healing arts at their academy there. I think it's called Wellspring Academy. Then down here, you have the ruins of Oakhaven, which I've included a little bit of lore of that within the zine as to why that's down there. You have the Selous River. You have everything you need here. The hills of Lanera. This is something to me. I wanted to make something that people would be proud to give their players and say, here's a map of the area. Where do you want to go? And in addition to this, I've also created like 4 others maybe of this map that changes the color a little bit. I put like a parchment behind it. I put hexes on one of it if you wanted to really divide it up that way. And then just a clear one like this. So this map is going to come along with it. It's not in the zine. It's a separate file. So you can use that and print it off. I've designed it in 11 by 17, so hopefully you're going to get a very good quality. And I hope that you get as much use out of it as I have designed it for. And that is it. That is the world of Skyreach. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed watching me work through my process. And once again, all the links down below. There'll be links down below to all the things you can get, the bundle or the individual or the membership for the channel. You can do that as well. But I'd like to hear from you. What did you think about this process? What do you think about the world? Is there anything on there in the map or in the design that you say, oh, Paul, I'm super interested in that. Can you have questions about it? Love to hear from you. Leave me some questions, comments down below. And if you're looking for those videos, those playlists, right? I'm going to put a playlist here that goes through kind of the original bones, the hex crawl of horror, all the things I did with that. That'll be here, as well as some DM tip videos if you're interested in those type of things. And while you're here, don't forget to go and click that thumbs up button. That tells me you like the video and you want more of them. Thank you for being with me today. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all in the next video.